sitting around 660 subscribers, and we need a good push this week to get us to 1,000 so we can broadcast our games live this year. Times are running short with Sweetwater coming up next Friday, so please do us a favor. If you haven't subscribed, do so. And if you have, if everyone can just find one person this week to subscribe, will be golden. And with that said, I'm excited to introduce our first guest this week, another Spartan legend, Coach Rex Johnson. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, Howard, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you, Coach. You've been a big part of Chula Vista High School, the family, the Spartan Nation for a long, long time. As I did those interviews last week, I've had a bunch of people message me, when are you going to have Rex on? And that's a testament to, the legacy you left there, Coach. So we're super happy to have you on, and would love to hear, can you give us a little history about your the life and times of Coach Rex Johnson at Chula Vista High School from the beginning to the end?
Well, I went to Chula Vista High School. I graduated in 1969 and went to Southwestern, went to San Diego State, working on a teaching credential. And I started coaching there in 1974. Jim Wilson was the head coach then, Craig Wilson's dad. And I had talked to him, just, trying to think. I was going into my student teaching year and trying to look for jobs and, how things were going. And, at that time, there were limited number of coaches and programs. There were no girl athletics, so there was no avenues in that manner. And football, there were 3 varsity coaches and 2 JV coaches.
Wow.
And that was it.
You guys were coaching everything.
Yeah. And so I had just asked him, was there anything, could I help out some way? And he said, well, what about coaching? And I was kind of like, well, I don't really, I inexperienced. I didn't do it. Hey, no problem. We'll teach you everything you need to know. So he hooked me up with Gary Chapman, and I literally spent the summer at his house and going over. I knew football, but I didn't know all the technique and all that kind of stuff. And so the very first coaching job that I had was with Gary and Mike Collins, and the 3 of us did the JV. Yeah, we split it up. I had the receivers and DBs, and Collins had both the linemen, and Chapman did the running backs and the linebackers. And so it just started there in 74. And then I was an assistant, different areas for 20 years. And then I became the head coach for the last 11. And then my last season there, I retired from coaching, was in 2004. So I was there 31 years.
You stayed on teaching and sub, and I know you're still around. I see you with testing and everything else, right?
Yeah. I still stayed on. I didn't actually retire from teaching till 2011. So I stuck around there for a few more years after that. So.
Well, that's awesome. And I did not know about your history, not really having a lot of experience. So that's really cool to know, because even myself, I played football as a young man, was a quarterback as a young, people look at me now, they're like, you must have been a left tackle, but I was a skinny little fellow back in the day. But when I got to high school, I had just moved down to Georgia, and small town, Lincoln County High School, and they kind of had everything. They already knew who their quarterbacks and everything else was. And I actually stopped playing football in high school, not because I didn't love the game. I was a small fella, ended up playing a lot more baseball, but I never lost the love of the game. And so, just like yourself, once I got back into it and coaching, I learned everything I could. And it just goes to show, if you put the work in, you can really, really have some success if you work hard at it. So it's awesome to see that correlation, Coach.
It just, I don't know, with learning all that, I just kind of like the bug bit me, and then I just couldn't soak up enough talking to
got the
other
same
coaches,
bug.
going to clinics, watching practices. I mean, whatever, anything I could do to learn. And that just kind of really drove me through the years to just kind of keep improving and improving and improving.
That's awesome. So let's go and take us to our next question.
Okay.
How important is the word respect in the game of football?
Well, I think it has a great deal. Well, really in all athletics, but football particularly. A lot of things like in the situation with the kids at the high school, the team you're on, you got to have respect for the school, for your teammates, for your opponents, the way that you act, the way that you behave. We always used to say at the beginning of the season, we would go through and obviously you'd have a schedule and we'd say, hey, we can beat everybody on our schedule, but we could lose to everybody on our schedule if you don't respect them or treat them seriously and have a respect for that. So there's a lot of different aspects to it. I think it's important. I think it's important in athletics, period, that you got to have that. You have to respect your teammates. They have to respect you. And so, yeah, it's an important part.
Now, the reason I brought this up, Coach, and I've saved this question for you, and I didn't tell you this beforehand, but you are, I've talked to Coach Otis Organ, I've talked to Coach Chapman, I've talked to Coach Ray Chow. You're one of the guys that when the word respect is brought up, it's always brought up in context with you. And that's a testament to the way that you ran your programs.
Yeah.
I know my first year here, I had Herman Salas was coaching on the lower levels.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Clark, Jr. is coaching for me now, and Lonnie Brookins. Those guys, it is funny because those guys are coaching, young men now. And the minute you walk on the field, coaches over there. Like they're always like, they have so much respect for you, the way you handled yourself and the way you demanded that, this is how you are a Spartan and this is the way you're supposed to carry yourself. And to see these guys years later still look at that and know that that's important. Again, I just want to tip my hat to you because, that's a huge part. I know, whether I know everyone you coached or not, I know they took something away from you, and it's helping them in life. So,
thank you. I appreciate that, and that's not necessarily something that I had started. It's just kind of, you're talking about Otis Organ and you're talking about Chapman, and we just kind of developed. We just kind of developed through the years and went on. It definitely was not just me. I can't anywhere near take credit for that, but it was just something that we developed in the culture of Spartan football and just continued with that, and felt over the years that a lot of kids bought in on that. And and
your consistency with that's the one thing every time I talk to folks about your coaches, your consistency with that, not just saying it but walking it was what made that stick with everybody. Even Coach Ray Chow, when I interviewed him last week, was like, he told me, he goes, hey, Rex brought me into the office one time and said, you don't know everything. You need to step back a little bit, understand what you're going. But he never took it in a bad way. He knew that you were doing a life lesson there and you're doing what was best for the team. And again, when people know that's how you walk, respect is earned, and I think again a big testament to the way you carried yourself, Coach.
Well, thanks, I appreciate that.
So we're going to be moving on to our next one now. Before we get into this, a quick story for everybody out there. My wife started teaching at Chula Vista High School. Obviously, I didn't go to Chula Vista High School. I'm from Georgia. My wife started teaching in '99. And she used to work the south gates of the field to keep fans from walking back and forth. And I had not been to a Chula Vista High School game yet. And she used to come home and tell me, man, some of those fans are like rough, or cussing and yelling at me because I won't let them switch sides. And so that was my introduction to Spartan football, because I used to work the south gates with her as her bodyguard. And anyway, you were the first head coach I got to watch put work in on Friday nights. And I got to see what a great example you were and the way you led your men. Those were some good squads you had back then in those early 2000s. And that does lead me to my next question, because obviously I got a couple coaches on my staff that played in this. They like to refer refer to it as the infamous Fog Bowl of '03 versus Mira Mesa. And I was there for that game. I couldn't see you guys unless you were down by the goal line. How about, can you walk us back through that game, Coach?
Well, it was to kind of start off. It was kind of it was a good season for us. We finished the regular season undefeated, but it was kind of a strange season in that we had a bye week, so we had a week off that was scheduled, and I can't seem like that was about in the middle of the season. And then I think we played like maybe 2 weeks, 2 games, and then they had the fires during that year. And the schools were closed. I mean, we couldn't practice. We had no games. So basically we had another bye week, that we couldn't even do anything with. And then it seemed like we came back and played like maybe 2 games. And then the playoffs started, and we were fortunate enough, we got the number 1 seed. And so then that gave us another bye for in the first round. So we had like 3 weeks off, during the season. So it's kind of like seeing we were starting camp, sitting out, starting, going back and forth. But if I remember right, it was pretty foggy. I didn't do a real good job getting the kids, fired up and ready to go. I think that was the biggest factor, because Mira Mesa was a good team. We had seen them the week before. They played Eastlake, and they beat them pretty handily. And they kind of just literally came out and hit us in the mouth. I think they scored a couple times in the first quarter. I think we came back and tied it up at halftime. I think we even went ahead in the third quarter, and then they scored a couple times in the fourth. And I think, if I recall, we were even driving to right in the last minute or so to tie it up, and tried a couple passes. And the fog led to not being able to see and as clear as possible. But both teams were playing in the same conditions. It wasn't just like it was us. So I kind of feel that I didn't do my best job coaching that night. That kind of contributed more to it than the fog did. But that wasn't not a real lot of positive thoughts coming from that night as years go on.
That wasn't your last year, though, right?
No, it was not here. No,
year? I'm glad you didn't end on that one.
yeah, that was.
But again, Coach, I also want to tip my hat to you, because it's so easy to make excuses, and for you to take that one on the chin and say, I didn't do a good enough job. Now, I have never heard that. Like I said, I've got coaches, anyone that was there always says the same thing. Fog was tough. We weren't ready, but I've never heard anybody put it on you. But again, that's what we do as coaches, right?
Yeah, that's
we have to say, we didn't do enough,
Yeah, that was my job. And you got to take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
So.
And again, testament to your character there, Coach. But sorry for bringing up that memory right there.
Of all the questions, all the games you could ask me about.
Oh, man. Well, like I said, that's what happens when you have a bunch of guys who played in that coaching.
Yeah. I figured they're still talking about that.
But anyway, so let's go ahead and move on. How's it feel to have so many former players now and in the past, right? Because not all of them are with me, giving back to coach at Chula Vista High School.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of pride. I think it was my last year. I had 17 coaches, with the varsity and the JV and the freshman staffs. And at that time, 11 of them had played while I had been coaching there, not necessarily as head coach, but even while I was assistant. And I know you're probably feel the same way at times. You kind of, the things you're trying to impress on them, and like you said, the culture and doing the right thing and all. And sometimes you kind of start, God, are these guys getting this? But looking back then and seeing that many people still wanting to involve and get back, and they weren't all teachers, they were people from, regular outside jobs that wanted to come back and contribute. And so that really makes me feel good that, well, okay, we got something across. Somebody was listening, somebody was paying attention, and it meant enough to them that now they kind of want to pass it forward, and they want to keep that culture alive and keep it going. So yeah, it's a great amount of pride, and I love going to your games and seeing those guys there coaching and just getting to talk to them for a minute, and really happy for them and the success that they've had.
Well, and I want to say, Coach, I have a lot of alum, a lot of former coaches that come to our varsity games. No one comes to our JV or novice games as much as you do.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked before, and it's because I have a few coaches that were yours. And again, to me, this speaks to your character. You're coming back to support those guys. Those were your players.
Yeah.
And you're taking the time to come down and watch a game on a Thursday that, we got like 20 fans in the stands and they're all parents. And you're there to support those guys and see how they're doing and give them feedback if they ask for it. And again, that's your character, Coach. You're not just there on a Friday night when the lights are big. You're also there when you're there to support your guys. And those were your players, and they're always your players until the day you die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then, you look back and they played for 3 or 4 years at that time and, busted their butt and made all that effort for that. I can go back, on a Thursday afternoon for 2 hours and see and watch them coach. That's a minimal exchange there for what effort they've put in for the program to.
Well, I know I'm speaking for them, but they really appreciate it. They always mention, well, the first thing they say is, "Oh, Coach Johnson's over there." But then the second thing they always say is how appreciative they are. They love and appreciate the fact that you're there for them. And again, thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
I love having you out there, Coach, and been in here on occasion as well. So so all right, we're going to move on to our next question here. What are your best memories of being a head coach at Chula Vista High School?
Well, obviously, I mean, there were a lot of game situations, but I think probably the best, and I know that the biggest thing that I missed is the camaraderie with the players, with the coaches. I mean, you don't have that. I mean, like you said, the coaches, Jimmy Clark and whatever I see, and I'm still in contact with a lot of the coaches that I coach with, but it's still just not quite the same. You're not seeing them every day and, dealing with things. And I really miss that. I think that's kind of the number one thing. And that's what I enjoyed the most, the wins, the losses, that kind of comes with the territory. But, if you're doing that with kids that you don't like, if coaches you don't get along, then to me, that wasn't anything that I wanted to deal with. We had seasons that we were not very good, wins and loss wise. And then, like I said, in 2003, we were the #1 seed. But as coaches, we all got along and we had a great time no matter what the record was. And that was, I think, one of the or the memorable things that I liked about it. I missed the competitiveness on Friday night. There was just always that getting ready to play, and somebody else is challenging you with, hey, this is their team, this is what they've got, this is what they're doing, what can we do? And I missed that aspect of it too. And I thought it was memorable. I really enjoyed that aspect of it too.
Yeah, thanks for that, Coach. Yeah, I was literally just having this conversation with my staff last night. This is it'll be my 4th year here at the school. And this last year, we have the same group of coaches now that we had last year. And it's the best group of coaches. And I think I've got 8 former Spartans, I believe it is, that are coached on staff. But it's the best staff I've had since I've been here. And that makes a difference. You see our record last year wasn't great. We struggled. but it is not indicative of how hard those guys work. We know we put it in every week. We know we work hard, and you're right. That's building memories, and nothing like trying to come up with a game plan. We're going to come up with something to put us in the best position to win this week. And I'm going to miss it when it's gone as well. So, but that's awesome. Thank you for that.
I was fortunate the years then that as head coach, I really had a solid core of coaches with Craig Wilson. I mean, Joe Hines, the CIF commissioner now, Judd, Ray Chow, Greg Molina. And we all got along. And they said it wasn't indicative. We weren't really buddies and chummy when we had good seasons, and then we're at each other's throat when we didn't. You know, we were just all the same all the time. And so, I mean, obviously it gets frustrating at times. You think maybe you should be playing better and whatever, and to be able to kind of laugh and joke around, it kind of took some of that edge off of doing that. So I'm very appreciative of the coaches I had. Very, very fortunate, and that's kind of the memorable things that I think of, as well as the players. The kids you mentioned, had a lot of them through the years.
Awesome. So then we'll get to this part. Myself, I told Coach Chapman, Coach Onosori, my record so far hasn't been what I'd like it to be. And one thing that I've learned through this podcast so far is I'm picking up a lot. We're doing this to get subscribers and to do our live games, obviously for our YouTube channel. But this is a growth experience for me. I'm learning a lot from you guys, and I'm so glad to have whatever advice you can give for me as the current head coach.
Well, I think a couple things that, one big thing, and I really tried to, and of just being yourself, don't try to be me. Don't try to be honest. Don't try to be Vince Lombardi, all that. You just got to be yourself. You can get advice, hear things they did, adapt it to your situation and whatever, but you can't be anybody else but yourself. One thing I think that really helped us when I became a head coach, as coaches, we were getting frustrated with kids that would be eligible, that report card before the season started, got a report card during the season, they'd be eligible. As soon as the season ended, ineligible. We'd grade check every single one. And so, we were getting frustrated with that and trying to think of ways, okay, what can we do? Because that's not the path we wanted to go. So obviously you've done the same thing during the season. You're talking about, hey, you've got to give 100%. You got to be accountable. You got to have some responsibility. You got to be dependable. Okay. But that doesn't mean you just do that the 2 hours at practice, or the 2 hours Friday night at the game, and then the other 22 hours of the day, you're a jerk off. You can't just walk on the practice field and flip it on and then flip it off when the game's over with. You got to do that in your whole life. And so we really started stressing, I could count, like, coming to practice. Hey, practice is at 3:00. You better be there, and you better be on time. If you can be there for practice at 3:00, I don't want to hear that all 6 periods that day you were late to class. That's you can't do that. If you had a job, you're supposed to be at work at 5:00. You can't walk in at 5:05, 5:10, well, I'll just get there. The boss tells you to do something. The coaches tell you who you're supposed to block. Well, yeah, I might do it this time, So if you can do it while you're on the practice field and in the game, you can do it all throughout your life. Your relationship with your parents, your family, they've got to be able to count on you. And so once we started kind of stressing, hey, this is a 24/7 job. This is just not football practice and Friday night games. You got to do this, and you've got to be that type of person throughout. And I think that's helped us with our success. And I think a lot of the kids really bought into that, and hopefully that's, helped them go on throughout the rest of their lives, because, that was their last football experience. They weren't even going on to college, let alone playing football and whatever. So you had to take something out of it. So we really tried to stress, this is just nonstop. We want your 100% effort. You got to give it to us, but you got to give 100% effort all the rest of the day, and all your other schoolwork, job, family, any relationships that you have. So we stress that, and I think that really had helped us.
Well, I got a little goosebumps right there, because this is life, and that's really what we're here for. We're trying to win football games, but we're here to grow men and turn guys into good fathers and husbands, and give back to society in a way. And we're trying to teach them those life lessons.
We're teachers. I mean, basically, you're a football teacher. Could be a math teacher, an English teacher, but we're a football teacher. And how we do that, and part of that being accountable and being dependable in your effort, that's got to carry over into the rest of your life, just not on the football field. And
Coach Clark, who's our junior varsity head coach, and he's co-OC with me on varsity. We were literally having this conversation last night in practice about retention. How do we keep these young guys in the program? Because our numbers are not as big as they used to be back in the day. And part of that is because since I've been here, I have been very stringent on the way I expect kids to act in the way they have to. And the kids that don't like that message, the kids that don't like that I won't let them just get by and do whatever they want to do in school, they end up not coming back sometimes. And that'll kill your numbers on occasion, but what it's going to end up doing eventually is it's going to build back the kind of program that I want. I don't care if it's a big program or a small program. What I want is I want kids that are buying in to being quality young men and quality individuals, not just on Friday nights, but in the classroom, parents and everything else. And the kids that are there, I'm really excited. It's taking a little time to kind of get us working that. And I feel bad for the senior class, but I literally the other day had the kids raise their hand. How many of you guys that were here playing as a freshman, which this senior class was my first class. How many of you are here that started, played as a freshman? And there was 2 guys that started last year that are on the senior class. And I go, and this is a testament for you young guys, because their friends couldn't handle what it meant to do the right thing every single day. And they didn't like the message that they weren't going to be able to just mess around and do what these guys did. And that's why they're still here, and that's why they're successful. And what I need the rest of you young fellas to know is this is the expectation for you. Let's don't wait until you're a senior and only have 2 left. Let's have 20 guys left. And it's going to start
that's
with
what you got to do.
Yeah, and it takes time. It takes time to do that. And that's what we're trying to build. And I'm happy to hear that you obviously, no surprise, especially with the way guys talk about you, Coach, that was the exact same way that you saw things. So before we get off here today, Coach, anything you'd like to say to Spartan Nation, any current players and future players, any advice you have for anybody out there?
Well, I just, any past players, hopefully that they're doing well and they're successful in their lives and what they're doing at this time. Current ones, and not even the just football players. I know all the athletes at Chula Vista. This has been a very frustrating year with everybody, and I think most sports are kind of getting up and getting going, or very close to getting their seasons going. So just kind of wish them the best of luck. And seniors, it's frustrating, but you just kind of have to make the best of it that you can, and give it everything you can, give it that 100%, and make it as enjoyable and memorable as your senior year as you can. So good luck to the football team, but to all the Spartan athletic teams as they get started up here.
Coach, really appreciate all your advice, all your words of wisdom. And again, hopefully we'll get that 1,000 subscribers so we can get,
yeah,
at least you can watch it online with us this year.
yeah,
That would be
yeah,
great.
yeah.
So
Okay.
thanks again for coming on. That's going to wrap things up for today, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from Coach Johnson as much as I did. And now coming up this week on the podcast, we'll be interviewing current CIF Commissioner and Spartan legend Joe Hines. Also, we're going to work on getting a current athletic director and former Spartan everything, Craig Wilson, on here as well. And, we're going to hope if we can get the schedule right. We're also trying to get a sit down with an absolute Spartan, UCLA, NFL legend, Donnie Edwards. We're hoping we can get him on sometime this week as well. So we're working hard for you guys. And again, please remember to try to get one person, a friend, a coworker, another family member to subscribe so we can get to 1,000 subs by next Friday, which I don't know if I've mentioned this, is the Legacy of Pride game versus Sweetwater, March 19th. You guys mark that down. Coach, you've been a few of those over the years.
Yeah, that's always a big game.
That's it. That's it. So, all right, Spartan Nation, that's all for today, players. Let's rep the city, and hey, we'll see you on the field.